Hello and welcome to Real Monsters, the companion piece to Mini Monsters, or daily, almost daily, 4 times a week show where we tell little mini bios about real monsters and then we discuss them here. Now, I think I just realized something, right? We've led these people to believe that we know when you're coming into Real Monsters, you're coming into some research show that we were actually we've read about these bios and then we went away and researched these people. Full disclosure, Playing with Bones, well researched. It's Alive, well researched. Weekend Update, not half bad research. We got the news. We know all we're doing is discussing the news. Mini Monsters, well researched. Real Monsters, this is just us.
It's a discussion piece.
Yeah, as much as we have done is watch maybe an extra documentary. I mean, I don't think this is really a place to learn solid information. It's more of us talking about 4 wild stories we read this week.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a bit more of a clearer view of what we're doing here.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of times where I'm kind of like coming in hand and Googling shit myself halfway through this. I have some bits and pieces ready for today because some of these stories are actually ridiculous. I'm telling you now, right now, straight off the bat. This, what's her name? King. How fucking gullible are these people? This is the dumbest story I've ever heard.
I mean,
the dumbest people.
Towels over sheets over people's heads and not being oh yeah, she's just back there, but that's definitely not her under that sheet. Okay.
That's her right there. I swear that's the ghost. That's the one with the sheet in her head. Yeah. And you're in the same room, so it couldn't be. It's so fucking ridiculous. It's like something you see on fucking Penn and Teller Fool Us. Mm-hmm. That would fail miserably.
That's why they had to make laws against it, because I mean, people were actually getting drawn in.
Against it.
Oh yeah, for fooling people like that, I would have to assume.
Then how do fucking mind readers and mentalists and all this stuff get away with it?
You can't. They're not making apparitions in the room. They're drawn off. So like the audience are like, oh yeah, he's right. That's sure he's talking
and
about.
And you can't prove them wrong.
Exactly. There's nothing to say that they are. They're not. But like if you're holding seances and you're like, yeah, I'm going to make that apparition appear, and like you're like bringing people.
So basically, this was like a thing of this person started claiming that they could make a ghost appear in the room, and basically it's like a parlor trick, right? They basically like fucking they put the right lighting in the room. They get the smoke machines going, and
the spirits appearing to them were seen as like a conduit. So this Katie King would have helped this particular medium, and another one after that, if we were to believe that, but they were actually pronounced wrong. But obviously like fraud all around. Not just those two. Anyway.
So are they saying that Katie King was a medium in real life? And
no.
So
basically, it's a conduit spirit that would enable the medium to speak to other spirits. So she'd speak through this person to other spirits.
So she was the representative for all the other ghosts?
Yeah, basically, like the ghost person.
She was the spokesperson of the ghost.
Of the ghost.
She would go to Lorraine Warren and say, hey, Lorraine, Mike over there wants you to tell Bob.
Yeah, but I mean, I would have more faith in a medium that said to me, right, there are many spirits here. Like, do you know, instead of, oh yeah, Katie's just going to have a word with this man over here for me.
We've got the ghost spokesperson.
The interesting thing about Katie is that she had a dad, John.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and John was also a conduit spokesperson for these people as well. And he was a conduit for the guy that trained the medium that was attached to Katie King. I mean, like,
all I can picture is, like when they do the skits, like Dave Chappelle walking up doing the presidential skits, the presidential podium, or SNL, and just somebody stepping up to with a prepared statement for the ghosts.
Yep.
We take these accusations of poltergeist activity in the house very seriously. We deny them 100%. But yeah, it's just stupid. And then there's these 2 in America that took up the franchise for a while.
Yeah, they were saying there was Jenny and Nelson Holmes, and they were saying that they also
could get on
King, appeared to them, but it was a woman called Eliza White, and Eliza White kind of turned on him.
But then they won it back by saying that they only hired her for photographs. And she started fucking blackmailing.
Yeah, a lame excuse. I mean, like, you haven't seen the real one because she won't post her photos. But
spoiler alert, it's exactly like fucking that new superhero in The Boys, the fucking Alex Jones fucking
Oh,
superhero.
yeah.
And when they tried to call her bluff with the underage sex
She's
thing,
like, bring it on.
and she's like, yep. And she tweets it, and then she walks out on stage, and she was like, I did this before I was born again.
What would happen if a man went out on stage and said, I'm a paedophile, but I'm a born again Christian?
Well, by Christian law, they would have to forgive him and take him in. The thing is, I actually truly believe that the Christians would, like, the Christians I know, the born again Christians, if they were like, well, this person has repented and they're following God and all that, there's very strong possibility they would, yeah.
Pedo.
Oh yeah, 100%. But I mean, like, if they claim that, I mean, you have drug addicts there, you have people who have rough backgrounds and stuff like that. No, I'm not saying they'd all like it. I'm just saying there's a chance that a paedophile would find a church that would take him in if they claim to be healed by Jesus.
I suppose we could look at, like, was the priests here, some of them were accepted back in, like, they didn't do a fucking thing wrong, according to the...
Yeah, they just get moved. They got moved parish at the time.
Exactly.
Before the internet. Before I could be like, well, actually, they're just over there. No, we got them chipped in the white collar. We know where they are all the fucking time. But yeah, I found that story to be kind of fucking just...
absolute bullshit.
Silly. Ridiculous.
Silly. And if you parted money, you are worse.
I could see how it was a way of entertainment at the time, but it was that scientist that annoyed me. The scientist that they brought in to prove that it was all right, true. And then he said his conditions were, well, you have to have the seance at my house with my guests, and I get to do whatever I want with the thing. And they claimed to have picked up the ghost, weighed the ghost, fucking swung it by the fucking ankles around the room by the sound of the thing. They basically do whatever the fuck they want. And then he was like, I can say 100% this is real.
It's a ghost. Absolutely.
And it's funny because it was like, I'm deep into the Planet of the Apes franchise. Every bit of it, book, comic, and fucking movie, TV show. And it was funny when I was listening to the episode and his article coming out and how the other scientists took to him saying these ghosts are real. And all I could see was like in Planet of the Apes, especially the book, when Cornelius comes forward claiming that the man can talk and has rational thought.
Oh yeah.
It's like Dr. Zayas wouldn't even dream of letting this out because it would ruin his reputation and ruin how they would look at him because no one would take him seriously anymore. Yeah. You know, and that's what I was thinking. I was like, will his reputation not be ruined? But he must have been paid off at some stage here.
Oh, had to be, definitely, because they said that they materialized another spirit as well, Florence Maple, and that was materialized by another medium on the night Mary showers.
And they had him hanging out and doing stuff together and stuff.
But the killer part of it, but not long after this, Mary Showers was outed as a fraud. But everybody was like, well, Katie King's still real.
Yeah. Just fucking, yeah, stupid. Move on. Because the next story fucking pissed me off. Not because... Which
one? Mowgli Jordan or...
No.
Oh, Richard yeah, that pissed me off.
It annoyed me because it's such a good story. And if it was real, it would be so, so good. Do you know?
It would be spine
like the coins, all the little details are there. And it's
just a really good story.
And that's the problem. It was just too good to be true. But I was looking at... What would be... You said this was like the first real time traveler story you had ever heard. That you believed, that you thought was real.
Yeah, and then the other one then is the first time slip one that I've heard, but this is more of a time traveler.
Yeah, we'll go on to time slips in a minute, because I like time slips too. But time traveler, first one I ever heard of that I believed might be real was, and it's ridiculous now, is John Teeter, the first internet time traveler. Also known as time traveler _0. So he was on internet forums between 2000 and 2001, and he claimed to be in the American military time traveler from the year 2036. Their posts discuss various aspects of time travel and describe future calamitous events, including, I don't know why I saw that as a completely different word. My eyes are going all over the place. Including a global nuclear war, which we are pretty close to, so he might be right. The uniform inaccuracies of their predictions and inconsistencies in their explanations had led many to view the story with skepticism. In 2009, investigations suggested that the entire affair was a hoax created by Larry Harbour, a Florida entertainment lawyer, and his brother John Rick Harbour, a computer scientist. These claims have never been verified. Now, didn't they claim or something in this as well that they needed like some part to a really old computer to make their fucking to make their ship go again, to make their time machine work again?
My thing is, okay, I'm not judging a book by its cover, but like, if this is the picture of him that I see everywhere with the really old computer parts, he looks like he's straight from the 70s, not from the future.
I've never seen a picture of John Teeter. There is no picture of John Teeter.
This is what I can see here. But he's holding an old computer part.
That's not, no, that's not a real picture.
That's what I was wondering, because that's clearly not.
No, he was only ever online. It was only on forums. He was there for a while and then he went missing. So hang on, there's Teeter's post here,
I would
right?
say pictures or it didn't happen, Mr. Teeter.
The first post using John Teeter's military symbol appeared on the Time Traveler Institute forums on November 2nd, 2000 under the name Time Traveler _0. The name John Teeter was not used at the time. The post discussed time travel in general, the first one being the 6 parts description of the components required for a working time machine and response to questions from other posters about how such a machine might work. That's interesting. I have to look that up, see if we can find the diagram or the instructions. These earlier posts tended to be short. A second thread was also made due to shortcomings of the forum software used at the time. The name John Teeter was first introduced in January 2001 when Time Traveler _0 began posting at the Art Bell Post to Post BBS. So that's Coast to Coast is the big conspiracy radio station over in America. Art Bell is a big guy in conspiracy theories and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So it's like a phone-in. Do you know how you always see on TV the kind of... They take the piss out of these late night phone-ins with conspiracy theorists and all that stuff. That's kind of what this is.
Okay.
The final Teeter post was made in late March 2001. Later, around 2003, various websites compiled Teeter's posts, rearranging them into a narrative. Not all these sites refer to the original dates and messages. So basically, it was an IBM 5100 computer is what he needed, which was needed to debug various legacy computer programs that existed in 2036. A possible reference to the Unix year 2038 problem. What's that? Unix is a time computing problem that prevents only 32-bit hardware and software systems from representing times after... Oh god, it's fucking Y2K again. By the looks of things. But yeah, I remember hearing about this like years and years and years ago. I mean, like, when I was in my teens. So like early internet as well. So it must have been long after this. I'd say I would have had probably the internet home by 2005, 2004. Maybe even by then. Yeah. So that's crazy. But yeah, that was the first time travel I heard. And I remember being very disappointed when I saw there was no other evidence to kind of...
Do you know what kind of shoots him in the foot though? On the 4th of November 2000, he said that a world war in 2015 killed nearly 3 billion people. The people that survived grew closer together.
Well, maybe this information, by giving it to us, he saved us.
Maybe
You know
he said that the mechanisms of time travel will be discovered at CERN with the creation of micro singularities. So as far as I know, they're like miniature black holes, and they use them in Star Trek, but they're still theoretical. But he has another, 10 years?
You know my feelings on time travel.
I do.
And everybody knows, because there's a video on TikTok of my feelings on time travel. Why are you looking all shocked over there?
No, sorry, it says 2008. I thought he was on about the Olympics being cancelled in 2020, as in like, you
think you got one right?
2008, sorry, no, yeah.
But, yeah, he could have told us about COVID, little prick.
Yeah.
So that's definitely not real. But,
no, the mad cow pandemic.
When was it? When was that supposed to be?
Oh no, he said something about that in conjunction with the IBM 5100 portable. I don't understand that.
They'd rather have to make time travel illegal or
a lot of regulations.
Yeah, like maybe like a force field around you that blocks them from seeing you and from you touching stuff, where you could go like a zoo and look at the time periods maybe.
Just be an observer.
Yeah, because you can't touch anything. You can't talk to anybody or you're going to fuck up the timeline. That's why my theory
that is only assuming time is linear. If time isn't linear, you can do these things.
What, like multi-dimensional?
Yeah. I mean, like, as in, like
Rick and Morty kind of
wobbly time, as in, like, that's why he's able to go, like, back and forth. That's, you only fuck up things if we assume that time is linear.
So, like in Rick and Morty, where they die in one world and they're like, oh, we'll just find one close enough to us and let's move there.
Basically, or else that you know, like, this moment in time isn't it's not a fixed moment in time. So, yeah, we can go back to you know, like...
It's so fucking confusing. Because, again, Planet of the fucking Apes... I mean, that whole thing is about them accidentally time traveling. Yeah. Do you know?
What would you do? What would you do if you accidentally time travel? I don't know, like something like the most fucking, I don't know, you set the date on your computer wrong or something and spilled a can of coconut and you time travel.
I'd ask who's producing this movie. And I want to raise.
Alright, so just take the reason you time traveled out. What would you do?
How did I end up in a 90s teen sitcom?
I would have been rich in the 90s.
That sounds exactly like a show that would be on about 4 o'clock in the evening.
I'm a 90s baby. I'm sorry.
I can even picture the kid accidentally dropping a can of Buzz Cola and the really cheap fucking sparks and stuff coming out and then a little bit of smoke off the computer. And a computer about the size of his fucking head.
You're getting him excited about this. You should probably pitch it.
No, I do think that if time travel existed... Well, no, see, you fucked that up on me. If time travel exists, I believe it will always exist. But like you said, if it goes you could go to different fucking timelines, then it's different, isn't it? And, and then that confused me with Planet of the Apes, because in the book, right, they go... It takes them... I think it's a 4-year journey for them.
To time travel?
Yeah, so it's like to go to the location they were planning to go to. Okay. It was a specific star that they were trying to get to. The Beltagese star or something like that. I think it's a real star. So it's so they're trying to get to that, and it takes 2 years for them to accelerate and 2 years to slow down with the rockets that they have. So, but when they travel over there, it's like they're saying themselves, like, it's 2 years for us, but it's like hundreds of years have gone by in Earth.
Is that because they're traveling at the speed of light?
I fucking no idea, man. But yeah, it's confusing.
It obviously has to be. How many Earth years?
And then, like, that's when I started to kind of dawn on me. It started to dawn on me that the way we understand time on this Earth is completely different. I mean, even when you look at animals to us, the way they understand time to compare to the way we understand time has to be different because of their lifespan, right? Like, if a fly is going to live and die in one fucking day...
Oh, that had the time, yeah.
Its lifespan, its experience of time has to be different, doesn't it? Slower.
Yeah.
Which means... So, I mean, like, I don't know. It's obviously something we don't understand yet. But what's interesting is... Then, while I think, like, I still do believe if we're going off of...
we kind of do understand it, because that was what Einstein's whole theory of relativity.
Well, I don't fucking understand it, so that's enough for me. But what I'm saying is, there's too much there for me. I always thought it was just straight forward, straight back. You'd rather go forward, you go back. If you mess up anything, it's going to change the story.
But that, again, I don't believe time. It can't be linear. Like, how like, in what we know already of physics, I mean... I don't understand how time could be linear.
I don't know. We would explain this next subject of time slips.
Yes,
I do like time slips.
I can see. I'd come back and say hi, but I'd like to get caught up in a time slip.
Well, I mean, I don't know about caught in a time slip. I wouldn't mind going through a time slip, experiencing it and moving the fuck on, like, you know.
How long would you stay?
I don't know. I mean... Is this like what, like a good night sweetheart kind of job where I can walk in and out of an alleyway anytime I want to see it?
I'd get a job there and work there every day and come back here at leaving.
Yeah, why? Do you know what's fucked up about that sitcom? It's a great sitcom. Why the fuck didn't he tell his wife and his friend and just bring him with him? Why did he feel the need to be
If his wife
hiding?
went with him, she'd realise that he was doing the dirty.
And if his wife went with her, she was supposed to be the strong, independent woman as well. So if she went back to the 1940s fucking England, she would not be happy. Wouldn't matter. He had a second woman and be like, bitch, know your place. We're in the 40s. But she was a bit of a bitch, though, to be fair.
They were just a bad match. They weren't a good match.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, okay.
She
was a bit
was
of a pain.
terrible in it. I felt bad for her near the end, I think. When they started to soften her a little bit near the end, and then they went and kind of reversed it again because she was like super rich and started to kind of
when they put her into the new apartment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And at that point, he had pretty much given up.
Oh, I'd watch that again. I love Goodnight Sweethearts.
Well, I mean, it would be cool again, like we were talking about, almost like a time traveling tourist, a time slip. It would be exactly what we were talking about with the this kind of being able to go to a different time, but not interfere with it or not cause it to be a problem.
I don't know if these women could interfere or not because, all right, okay, I have
some
to
of
say,
it sounds ghostly.
Yeah,
kind of.
but some of it looks like they might have been actually viewed by the ghosts or the people or whatever. But I'd have to, like, this just what I read it, Josh, you've no idea. When I like, as in the time period that they went back to, as in like pre-revolution France, is just as in like it's a fairy tale. I wouldn't have walked. I'd have just stayed in that one spot forever and ever.
Do you know what I love about it? Is the fact that after it was all said and done, when it was all finished, and they decided this, we figured out what the actual thing was going on was. It was just one big old gay party.
Pretty much.
That's what they reckon, isn't it? That it was just a bunch of...
Yeah, okay. So at the time that they would have time travel, Paris especially was very bohemian, very forward thinking. I mean, it was like you had the likes of like.
Well, to be honest, I'm delighted this has come up because it's Pride Month, and we were. I was looking at our kind of subject matter when it came to gay people and how we could do something to kind of, and it was the exact same people. Oh, okay, Amy, just have to correct me. It's queer people. It's all of you in general, everybody together. You know what I mean. Yeah. But anyway, the point being is I was trying to think of like some way to kind of that we could pay tribute to it. But it's the same thing as with women. The horror genre generally isn't good to anybody bar serial killers. So, I mean, unless I was going to point out some queer serial killer and highlight them in our thing, and it was like, well, is that positive or negative from it? It was the same thing with women. It was like, well, we could talk about women serial killers, but is that a positive or a negative for women?
I like what we did for Women's Day. We highlighted a lot of women that were before their time, like the likes of Hedy Lamarr we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about Rosa Parks. We talked about, there was somebody else we talked about as well. Hedy Lamarr was a big one for me.
But I'm just saying that when it comes to Pride Month and trying to find a way to honour it, I don't feel like us putting it under the banner of real or mini monsters would be the appropriate way to do that.
No. And it wasn't just there's one guy, what was his name? Philippe Julien said that he thought that maybe Terry Castle, pardon me, said that it was most likely, in his opinion, a lesbian folly do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's a bit. I think that's kind of
pushing it a bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, before I get into it, I kind of made a joke there, but it was just a big old guy. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean like that it's funny that these two women were kind of like, so sheltered and guys. So I think that when they saw this great grand party going on, everybody having a fucking great old time, they're like,
we must have time traveled.
What the fuck? Where are we?
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by that. Well, I mean, they claim to see what's her name as well.
Marie Antoinette. No.
Oh, I thought it was Joan of Arc. I don't know why.
Joan of Arc would be about.
Wait. I was thinking it was strange the way they were talking about her dress. And I was like, Joan of Arc.
So what's interesting about that, and I don't know if it was known, it must have been known at the time, but Marie Antoinette was known. She had her little like house on the gardens, and she liked to go there, and she liked to live as a normal person because obviously, I think I'd do that as well just to escape. But she was known for wearing like when she was like holidaying like that, wearing these long white flowy dresses. Like there would have been ladies in waiting all around her. And I know, but the other guy staring at them, the guy that they said was kind of creepy, that creeped me out.
I would say that if we, like I've always said to you, I would be fine.
Sombrero hat, yeah.
If a ghost turned up here, I would be fine with dealing with it. You know, I'd probably be creeped out at first, but I'd find a way. I'd want to start communicating. You and me would get excited about it.
I feel like
if an apparition came, stood there and stared at us, now we got a different fucking problem.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or if it was like one of those shadow figures that's peeking around the door, or just standing there staring at me. No, we got a fucking problem. That's creepy. That's fucked up. I don't want that. That's unsettling. Interact with me. Do something.
If there was such thing, like if we could get it, I mean, like it's not like you're going to be able to see him coming up in the morning, walking around in his boxers. You're like, fuck's sake, when is he going to go home? It's if you can live and you can get along, like the odd bagging and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
I'm just saying, if there was an apparition of a ghost and it actually interact or even waved at you or something, you'd be like, oh, well, that's not so bad.
Back and be polite.
But if it just stood there looking at you sinisterly, you'd kind of be like, this is fucked up. You'd run.
I don't know. Would I rise in like if it was something like that? Would it be like would running cause him to chase you? Or are you just better off to just stay there?
Like an animal, like fucking stare it out. Don't break contact. Show him who's boss.
It depends on the size of the animal, Josh. That I'd be doing that.
Oh, I don't know. You show him who's boss and just stare him down. You
are never ever allowed to have one of these experiences with a tiger or a lion.
Make yourself big.
No, that's a bear.
Do what tigers do. Down kitty, bad kitty. That's a bad
cats as well as I do, and they take that as a challenge.
Huh?
Like, you think you're big? Watch this.
Go with my newspaper. Tap on the nose. Bad kitty.
I still love you after your face transplant.
Oh God. I did look up, I haven't read through them, but I did look up time slips to see if there was any other ones. So I got like
there's
10.
a lot of time slips.
I got 10 here.
One. Yeah.
From List First. So there's that.
I love List First. Can I just say, I think we should promote that website because that's one of my favourite websites. I've been reading it for years and years and years and years. And I love the 3 lists updated every day, and that's just amazing.
This one, I don't know when it was. Oh, it was released in 2021 by Richard Sugg. So there's number 10 is the Kersey in Suffolk, a medieval visit in 1957. On a bright, crisp Sunday morning in autumn 1957, 3 trainee soldiers walked into a village of Kersey and suddenly found themselves in medieval England. As Andrew Mackenzie explains, one of them, William Lang, who was a keen observer of the countryside, was also certain that the trees and grass changed to the colours of spring during the time slip. As they approached Kersey from the countryside, the 3 soldiers could see the church, I think I've heard of this one before, church with its tower up on a hill, and hear the bells ringing. About 100 yards from the church, the bell abruptly cut out, and there was a general unnatural silence with not a single bird call or breath of wind. That would be creepy, alright. What movie did we see that in lately? Anyway, the houses looked extremely ancient with no people, no TV aerials, telegraph wires, or street lamps. What would you do? Have you ever thought you were in a time slip?
This seems really familiar to me that I had a split second whoosh it, and then no.
I remember one day me and Roach were driving over.
Oh, you told me about this.
Roach were driving over. It's nicknamed the Fat Mile because it's basically where all the power walkers go to walk.
Yeah.
So you're burning off the fat, so it's the Fat Mile.
Well, it's not the Skinny Mile. Have you not heard of that? It's not called the Skinny Mile.
No, the Skinny Mile is, as far as I know, is the little road off of the Fat Mile.
I called it the Fat Mile once and I was corrected to the Skinny Mile. And this is going back a few years ago. And I was like,
that's
Jesus,
someone who wasn't happy about being called the Fat Mile, basically. But we were driving on that. And at one point, it felt like we were... It's not that long road. Like, you drive from one end of it to the other in a minute and a half.
Mm.
And we're driving along it, and suddenly I kind of looked at Ross and was like, does it feel like this road is going on for ages and those trees just keep on coming? Where are the houses gone? And he kind of looked at me and was like, yeah, you're right, this has been going on for it feels like we've been driving for 5 fucking minutes, and it was another minute or so before we finally kind of turned the corner and saw the trees again. No, at the same time, it was me and Roach.
Yeah.
We might have been under the influence of certain certain plants that might have made us feel like we were going longer than we were, but I don't think so. I don't know. It just felt like we were going for ages. And then both of us noticed
So is it like a time slip to a few minutes beforehand?
I don't know. Because there was no road there when we were kids, so it wouldn't really have been a time slip to another road. Like.
Just a time slip to maybe like half an hour beforehand or when he started on the road. Oh my God, what would you do if you were caught in a constant loop like that?
Do you know what? We were probably just not. What, Groundhog Day? I couldn't handle that.
That happens to me when I play piano now.
What?
Not time slips.
Groundhog Day?
No, genuinely. Because I haven't
That's
played
why you gave up piano, because every time she plays, she just gets stuck on the same day over and over again.
I gave up because
away.
Do you know what? It was a repetitive strain in my arm, and I didn't have a piano here outside. Do you know, like once I moved out. But now I have the muscle memory in my fingers, right? To a certain point. So I sit down at the piano when I go home to my brother's piano, and I play it, and I might get about 20 bars. And then next thing, I'm like, how the fuck did I end up back to the start of this song? And that'll keep going over and over. And no matter how many times I play those 20 bars, I will go back to the start. Like, my brother has to come in and save me. Like, but it is literally just like a loop over and over and over again. And I can't break it. It's like a weird memory in my hands. I can't break it. I can't make my fingers stretch automatically. It just goes back to the start of the song. And it sounds fine, though.
When we were in a metal band as teens, one of the first songs we covered was For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Yeah.
Those two verses are the same length. They are the same beats. They are the same fucking musically identical.
Yeah.
I would get stuck in a loop of the first verse for ages or something. Like, well, you have to do the first verse again, Josh. Shit. Fuck. Okay.
It's easy to happen, though. But, again, that's probably muscle memory. Like, you're used to, if you learned the first part more than the second part, obviously your muscle memory is going to snap back. But yeah.
Anyway, we have a policeman officer in Liverpool. Mm-hmm. For some reason, both Suffolk and Liverpool seem to have produced unusually high numbers of reported time slips. So we got to go check them out.
Yeah.
As Carl Grove tells it, on July 7th, 1996, it's not that far away. Well, I suppose it is really. We're old. I forgot that. An off-duty policeman named Frank was planning to go to Dylan's bookshop to meet his wife. On his way there, he was nearly hit by a small 1950s type van with Kaplans on the side. The van driver actually sounded the horn at him as it occurred. Frank realised that he was in a road, whereas in 1996 that section of Bowl Street would have been pedestrianised. Across the road, Dylan's had turned into crypts, and people were dressed in 40s, 50s style clothing. He followed a girl in modern clothing into a shop, noticing the modern brand name on her handbag as he did so. The shop then turned back into Dylan's. The girl was also confused and complained to Frank. So two of them saw this happen. And he just, I think what he did was very smart. There's something I recognise, follow that. Do you know?
Yeah.
Especially a modern brand name. Watching baseball from the past. Okay. In the early 1920s, a boy and a girl living in Flackton, Arkansas, walked through the silent town one Sunday afternoon when everyone was at a baseball game and took a shortcut to the ground through a pine wood. Robbie and Anne presently came to a stream they had never seen before, and after crossing it, they were met with completely unfamiliar countryside. Gone was the scrubby undergrowth and knobby pine tree, smelly dog fennel, and Jimson weed. The chattering sparrows and screaming blue jays, along with the strange silence reported by those soldiers in 1957, the pair also felt a kind of dreamy languor as they walked on. So it sounded like they were kind of in a bit of a fucking fairyland.
Like, yeah.
All the vegetation looked different, whilst ferns were dozens of times larger than the ones they usually saw in bogs. On reaching a small rise, they saw off in the distance a ball diamond and our friends. So they, from the time slip, they were able to see outside of it to the fucking baseball pit.
That's bad.
5 last hours. Oh, I'm not even reading this one. You were just abducted. Wuthering Heights. I thought that was a book.
It is a book.
Then why is it here?
Could be something. Maybe he slipped back in time with Simon Bronte.
Why is it based on a true story?
No, that's the girl that wrote it. One of the two famous Brontes.
In the summer of 1959, the British actor Alan Helm was working in a theatre at Bradford, not far from the famed Bronte village of Haworth. Before a performance, Helen liked to walk out in the moors, which inspired Emily Brant's Wuthering Heights. He had done this walk many times in the past 4 years. One fine day, he strolled out, reaching the ruin known as Top Withens around lunchtime. Here he saw a man in a deerstalk hat with a shotgun. When the man disappeared, Helen went toward the ruin to look for him. On his way, he suddenly found himself looking down at a big Georgian farmhouse. He ran down, knocked on the door, and peered in the windows to see a table set for lunch. He could smell pigs and hear cattle, but when he entered the barn, it was empty. Looking back up, this just sounds like a haunted house. That's terrifying. Imagine that, walking down, seeing all this shit from the outside, and then walking into a completely empty house.
Yeah.
I would question my sanity, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fast forward, Chile, 1977, and there's pictures of UFOs here, so this one might be good. Jenny Randalls recounts a very different military training exercise from Curzy occurring in Chile on the 24th of April, 1977. A small unit of soldiers on a training exercise. That night, they camp on a plateau at Pama Luscuma, 12,000 feet above sea level. Their commander, Corporal Armando Valdez. Just before 4 a.m., a soldier named Rosales sees something strange. He calls Valdez, coming toward them upon a mountain with two violet lights. Yeah, this just sounds like another UFO thing. That's not really a time slip. These are losing time. I wouldn't count that as a time slip. A time slip is going through time, isn't it?
No. Yeah.
Phantom House of Rogam Suffolk. Versailles, that's your one. The Armies of the Dead. Oh, now we're talking. On the evening of the 28th of June, 1812, between 7 and 8 p.m., Anthony Jackson, 45, and 15-year-old Martin Turner were in the fields of Haver Park near Ripley in Yorkshire. How do they know this? It's 1812. That's a long time ago. Anyway, Turner suddenly cried to Jackson, "What a quantity of beast!" Following his gaze, Jackson responded, "Lord bless us, they're not a beast, they're man." We're finally getting the planet of the apes. On the summit of the hill, there had appeared a body of soldiers in white uniform, commanded by a figure in scarlet. Marching in various formations, they passed Jackson and Turner from about 100 yards away. The Second Army, dressed in dark uniforms, appeared behind the first, presently forming an L shape with the white-clad troops. There seemed to be no hostility between the two units, which each numbered hundreds, but were passed over the far side. So what did they witness some form of military exercise? Like a marching exercise?
Why did they get an army of the dead?
I know, that's what it did. That's what it's... Well, because I assume they're supposed to be ghosts. Time slip past, even though by the way they're dressed compared to 1812. But from the description of their uniforms, and you're going off 1812, and from the way they're marching, I would say it's the opposite way around. It sounds like they're getting a sight of the future, not the past. That the time slip is coming.
It does not ring any bells with white, led by a scarlet figure. What is Ripley famous for?
Okay, we got one last.
There's a castle there.
I don't know. There's one last one. A fairy fair in the 17th century England. Readers have probably noticed that some of these cases look like ghost sightings. To complicate matters a little further, 17th century witnesses often thought time slips to involve fairies. Around 1635, a man was riding home past a hill called Blackdown near Taunton in Somerset. He suddenly saw on the side of a hill a great company of people apparently assembled for a country fair. There was pewters, shoemakers, peddlers with all kind of trinkets, fruit and drinking boots. Realizing that it was the wrong time of year for a fair, he decided to ride into the gathering and learn more. Having them in view very clearly, when the rider came into the assembly, he could discern nothing at all. Only seemed to be crowded and trussed as when one passes through a throng of people. So basically he's saying here, even when he got up close, he couldn't really make out anybody's faces in the crowd. Again, they're kind of saying this was very similar to your story.
For the precise story.
Yeah, that's basically what they're saying here. Is he came up, he went through it, and he's gone again. I don't know why he got fairies out of this. A lot of people. I think it's again you're looking.
There's a lot
at,
of extrapolation.
But again, I suppose you're looking at where they're from, their culture, their background, their folklore, their mythology, their stories. So if you're brought up with fairies being your kind of fucking mythological community creature, for lack of a better word, everything's going to be associated to fairies, you know?
Yeah.
And it's the same with these other ones, you know, you're always going to associate it to what you're used to seeing or used to talking about, or what in Irish terms, I suppose, what the Shanky was telling you when he came around, or, you know, you're going to be like, yeah, okay. So it was fairies, even though it could have been a ghostly thing. Do you buy into all that thing of like the ghosts kind of being more of an energy left behind? That sometimes that like when these sightings or these time slips, when you're seeing something, that it could be just the energy of that event.
I believe that there's probably a few types if it's real, and that's one of them. I mean, that makes more sense to me than something being left behind.
That electricity kind of...
Yeah, that is energy. I mean, that makes sense. The energy from this repeated task that you might have done over and
that,
over.
Or in an army or in a war situation where the emotion is so fucking high, and the fear and the feeling is just so fucking high there. But you hear people saying, like, places like in America where there was Civil War battles, they still...
Gettysburg.
You still see like soldiers there, or cannons there, ghostly cannons.
There are cannons there.
Which would prove that point, because the cannons are non-sentient beings. They have no soul.
No, but the cannons are actually there.
Yeah, but haven't they seen like ghostly kind of fucking ones moving around and stuff like that?
Yeah, the only thing is the most convincing video of that one has literally just been debunked in the last while. It pissed me off because it looks so real. You know the one I'm on about.
So that's the thing. We're skeptical, but it still pisses us off when you get proven wrong. We don't want you to be proven wrong. We want you to be proven right.
I held faith in that video that it was a civil warrior, a soldier running past one cannon. The next thing they slow down the video and you're like, oh, it's literally a drop of rain running down that windscreen.
Oh. And that's it. 99% of the time, that's all it's going to be. It's going to be something really fucking mundane and boring. You know, it's not mundane and boring, because we were talking about earlier on, it actually fit nicely as well into our next story, is you were talking about like time travel and different dimensions and different...
that's where probably I would believe if Bigfoot is real, because he hasn't been discovered yet, that's where Bigfoot comes from.
Yeah, we're going to have a kind of a catch-all Bigfoot here. Bigfoot is too big of a story for mini monsters. So this week we took the 3 Bigfoot family members that we have discussed to this point, and we put them into one big long episode for a rewind so that we can have a look at them.
Yeah.
Because we kind of jumped right past the Yeti last week, or 2 weeks ago, because I think we were talking about some big stuff that week and we just didn't have time to get there. And I still don't see the problem I have with all this. I found an angle I like to talk about now, and we're going to get into that. But to the most part, I kind of find Bigfoot and Yetis and stuff like that a little boring.
Unless you're presenting to me hard, solid evidence, then I have something to get excited about.
It's fun when you're watching Paranormal Cotton Camera and you see something and it's like, okay, maybe. Do you know, like that one?
Most of the time, though, it's like that guy's costume is better than last week's guy's costume.
Yeah. But you remember, like, the people on the train, was it going through Colorado or something like that?
That was,
and they saw the guy walking around, and the next thing he just sits down and blends right in with all the ferns and stuff around the place. And it's like, oh, shit. That's crazy. That's compelling, and that's something I'd like to look at and look a bit further into.
Yeah.
But most of the time, it's just like a black blur running through the bushes, or something that is most likely just a bear. You know, 99.9% of the time, it's probably just the bear on its hind legs, like, you know. Yeah. And that sucks. But if I was going to buy anything with Bigfoot fucking theory, it would be this interdimensional thing.
It makes sense, doesn't it?
And, my theory, you know, is what if the Planet of the Apes is real, Amy?
And it's interdimensional.
Yep. And what if the Bigfoot are really just evolved apes who are scouts, who are being sent through the dimensions to have a look and see what's going on. And the only reason they're naked, the only reason he's naked and no clothes on, is because he wants to fit in with the other ape species around here to look.
He's not.
And to blend in.
Fitting in.
He fucking does an alright job when he fucking wants to blend in.
Not with the other ape. If you stood him beside a gorilla, I'd be like, that's definitely a Bigfoot.
Like, that's not gorilla, no. But
Well, with his surroundings, yeah, he can blend in. Against other apes?
yeah, but you'd have to imagine if Planet of the Apes was to happen, it wouldn't evolve like they did. They wouldn't look like they did in the movie.
Who's to say?
They'd evolve because they'd have to evolve to be able to walk upright properly, and they'd have to evolve to be able to.
Which takes millions of years.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah,
Thousands in the book and movie, but yeah.
Oh.
But and then you had the whole. Well, no, the reboots are the only ones that made them smarter through chemical. They just got smarter in the originals.
Yeah.
As far as I know. It was after the nuclear war. They got smarter through, well, it's one of those kind of time loop things. We'll get into it. I'm doing it all the weekend update this week. It just says Planet of the Apes. But, I like this interdimensional fucking theory. So the idea, basically, for people who haven't heard, is that, like, the reason we can't see Bigfoot, or we can't find Bigfoot, and we only see him briefly, and they're able to go missing so quickly and so easily, is because they can walk between dimensions. And that when we're seeing them and then they go missing, they're basically walking back to their own dimension.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's mental. It's probably not true, but none of the Bigfoot stuff is true. But this doesn't just go to Bigfoot. This spurs on to UFOs as well. The interdimensional UFO hypothesis. To be exact. And there's a whole Wikipedia page to it. Pre-modern history, background, theorists. So fucking hell, there's a lot. I don't know if I can get into all this right now. Let's see what David Gershk has to say about it. A former member of the UAP task force, famous for claiming that the US government was covering up evidence for advanced technology, UFOs, and alien pilots, described the idea as possible. There's a possible alternative explanation for extraterrestrial UFO. I don't know. I would believe it in the sense of... Oh, hold on. No, they're saying Hynek had said something about this as well. So this could be J. Allen Hynek. Project Blue Book.
Yeah.
An American astronomer who served as scientific advisor for the USA. So what does he say? Hynek. There could be other universe with different quantum rules or vibration rates, if you want. Our own space-time continuum could be a cross-section through a universe with many more dimensions. Think what a hard time you would have convincing an Aborigine that right now, through this room, TV pictures were passing, yet they're here. You have to consider to see... Yeah, he's saying it's possible. It's basically Rick and Morty fucking shit. You can kind of go from timeline to timeline.
Yeah. I wonder though, there's a line of thought that it might have been like, fossils and all that they find are remnants even in humans' memory of the Gigantopithecus. It was like a big gorilla, but it went extinct between 295,000 to 215,000 years ago. But like, can an oral tradition? When they reconstruct it, they give it orange hair, but they think it kind of walked more like a gorilla would, like on all fours, rather than being bipedal. But my question, like in my head, is can an oral tradition survive that long? So I mean, like if it went extinct at least 250,000 years ago to the most 295,000 years ago, I mean, like would human tradition carry it on that far to be what it is today?
Is it considered to be Bigfoot?
It's a theory.
It's one of the
theories.
See, I kind of remember what I was going to say now before I saw Hynek's name. Do you know when they talk about interdimensional kind of stuff? I could see it being possible. Again, going back to Planet of the Apes, in the sense of a spaceship going through a wormhole to a different fucking stretch of time. That makes sense to me. I can't imagine a big hairy animal walking across the jungle and next thing just walking like into a fucking...
But can you imagine
me
walking down the road and then all of a sudden I'm in like 1840s Kerry?
No, but I don't really believe that happens either.
I put more faith into that than a time slip for a universe slip for a Bigfoot. Although that's the theory that makes sense to me most with a Bigfoot or the Gigantopithecus one. But
Do you think there really is, like Rick and Morty says, a fucking universe for every... Like, I would try and explain the story, like, this theory that, like, there are so many universes that, like, it's literally the difference of, like, you might be... Everything is happening in another universe right next to us. But the only difference is you might be one eyelash short or one hair short than you are in this one over here. Or there might be a dust mite missing from this one that isn't in the next one. And then it goes on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever with all these slight tiny variations constantly to every last fucking scenario, so that you have every combination of every scenario that could ever fucking happen in time woven. And if you believe that, how do you not believe in some sort of fucking divine intervention there? Because how the fuck does all this get intertwined and created and made without fucking something?
But us believing that and thinking about that now, is it not like the Vikings thinking about sailing west way back then? It's like, do you believe there's another country over there? As in, like, now is it the equivalent of going, do you believe there's another universe?
I don't know, because the thing about it is, like, it's funny that you talk about it like that, because that is a thing with Viking faith. Or with pagan faith is, you know, when you talk about the Norns, they weave your fucking faith, but the faiths can be intertwined and they can go this way and that way, and you can choose. So, like, the idea of having, like, because there's always this thing of, well, if the gods choose your faith, then do you have free will? Whereas the Vikings or the Norse people and the pagans in general would feel that they are more free willed than any.
You're guided by the gods, but I don't think your decisions are made.
But that's it. It's like there's many fucking roads you can travel, but yeah, they're probably all going to. And look, come here. At the end of the fucking day, you can say that about everybody. Everyone's road's going to end up at the same fucking place. Do you know? Yep. So I mean that we can go the Christian route about that. We can work around a roundabout way of getting that in there, like, and say, yeah, everyone's fate is fucking predetermined. Everyone's fate's predetermined. We're all going to end up in the same place. It's what happens in between. But I think there was a bit of a belief. There was like there was a bit of a fucking contradiction there with the pagan belief back then, that there was like this grand kind of fucking plan for your life, but at the same time you had free will to do whatever the fuck you wanted.
Well, maybe it was all roads will lead to here, but you can choose any road.
But then what's the point in fucking taking the hard road if you can take the easy road?
But it's not just that. I mean, maybe it might be a road of like, okay, this is what you're going to be in 10 years' time. But on that way, you might have decided to take a wife or not take a wife. You might have decided to have kids or not have kids. You might have decided to, I don't know, dye your hair fucking blue or not dye your hair.
But that's what I'm saying. There's a different,
As in, like, you know, I don't think any of those things would necessarily make the path hard or anything like that. But
outside of just Bigfoot, though, right? We were talking about Yeti. The Yeti is a lot more believable than the Bigfoot.
Because it can blend into the snow.
100%.
Yeah.
And because of that area, it will be harder to kind of fucking to research, to search for something like that. Do you know?
I think if the Yeti did exist, though, and he was around Mount Everest, there wouldn't be as many frozen bodies that we have on Mount Everest. Would it be a food source, or do you think he's herbivore?
Don't know. What herbs are you going to be eating in the fucking snow?
Snowdrops?
Liquid diet. It wouldn't be that big anymore.
Snow, yeah.
Huh?
You need snow.
That's what I said, liquid diet.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And is the skunk ape supposed to be huge as well? I always picture the skunk ape as being like small. It's just a stinky fucking chimp, to be honest with you.
I think, yeah, he's called the skunk ape because of the smell, but it's basically pretty much a smelly Bigfoot from what I can make of it.
From what I've read, all of them are fucking smelly.
Yeah. Well, I suppose the skunk ape is smellier. Maybe.
I've heard the skunk ape screaming in videos. You hear that where they hear them roaring in the woods and stuff.
Is it? Yeah. I don't know. I don't believe those ones though.
If they were smaller, yeah, maybe. But I mean, I think of all of them so far, the most possible would be the Yeti. Or is an extinct animal that might have existed in the past. A Yeti would be possible.
Yeah. But then again, the skunk ape is usually smaller, about 5 to 7 meters. So is it more possible that a 5 feet, sorry.
5 to 7 fucking meters. We're only towering about maybe shit. 3 or 4 times my size.
Would it be easier for a 5 foot skunk ape to hide itself rather than a much bigger Bigfoot.
I wouldn't see. When I asked you, was it small? I would consider that small. 5 foot, that's shorter than me. If it's shorter than
5
me,
to 7 feet.
oh well. If it's 7 foot, then we're in trouble.
Yeah, see.
If it's 5 foot, I'm not worried about that. That's a monkey.
Oh, well, but hang on now 2 seconds, okay? It's just a monkey, but do you
monkey.
know what its muscle mass is like? I don't want to do it. Does anybody know what its muscle mass? I mean, if could you come up
They're
with
not real, no.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I mean, like, how tall is the gorilla? Would you fancy your chances against a gorilla? Would you go up against an orangutan or a fucking, like, fully grown chimp? Have you seen them shaved?
So you get in
limp.
But if you get in really, really close, an orangutan is at a disadvantage.
Because their arm reaches.
The reach is way off. You can't get through. He can try and hug you. He can squeeze you, maybe.
I would be totally fine with an orangutan hug. They're definitely my favourite ape.
Yeah. They scare me a little bit.
I'd be more scared of a gorilla.
I like gorillas. I think they look cool, and I think I wouldn't mind Hannah. I'm afraid of all those monkeys getting a hold of me. They're all fucking crazy. I mean, even a chimp would fucking rip you. I mean, look at this now. That poor woman that was on Oprah got her face ripped off. I mean, chimps are violent in there. We've seen them shaved as well. They're just muscle on muscle on muscle as well.
A chimp shaved is scarier than a gorilla shaved.
Gorillas are impressive.
That's it. Yeah, the chimps look like you know the type. They're the really skinny, fucking toned, neurotic, fucking like is he gonna snap or something?
But I think Planet of the Apes got that one right as well when they I know they were trying to highlight fucking race fucking relations as well. But when they got it, when they put the orangutan in the position they put it in, and the chimps in the position they were in, the gorillas in the position they were in, it seemed like the right positions. Even though in the book the gorillas are actually a higher level than the chimps. They're more leaders than
I can understand that.
like presidential and stuff like that, because apparently if you leave the fucking chimps and the orangutans at it, they'll fucking spend all day. They found that when the gorillas weren't involved in science, that the gorillas had to come in, even though they weren't intelligent enough to deal with it. They had to come in to deal with the science affairs, because if they let the orangutans and gorillas at it for too long, they'd never get. The orangutans and chimps at it too long, they just go around in circles debating, and they needed somebody to come in and say, no. This is it. That we're going with that idea. That's it. So that's kind of the gorilla's position in science and the real Planet of the Apes, the book, which is fucking awesome.
I reckon I must have bonded with an orangutan when I was younger at the zoo or something. Because I remember we went to the zoo loads of times. And I remember my first time being like, oh my God, it's an orangutan. And then every time after that being like, that was what I needed to see. That's what I wanted to see, was get into the ape. I need to see the orangutan.
The one in
Planet of the Apes must have waved at me or something when I was younger, and that was me sold.
See, it's Maurice in Planet of the Apes. He's just got such a kind
so wise
face.
And he's,
you know?
And but genuinely, that was a thing when I was younger. You can ask my mother, her thing, like, oh, we're going to see the orangutan. She wants to be hyping it up for me.
To be fair, Planet of the Apes, the only time they really shitting the orangutans was the first 2 movies.
Oh, but what's
every other time
character? Yeah, I didn't like him.
Dr. Zayas and his group, in the first 2 movies, the orangutans are dickheads. By the time the 5th, the orangutans don't really show up again until like the 5th movie. They're kind of in the 4th movie a little bit in the background, but they're in the 5th movie. And they're talking, and he's actually, the orangutan in that is actually the voice of reason for Caesar a lot of the time. And I told you like that they had the guy, the conscience for Caesar, taking care of the armory. We'll talk more about that in the other shows. I don't know how we got in that from. Oh yeah, because Planet of Apes is all time travel, and that's why we're doing time travel this week in general. But and apes and Bigfoot. But yeah. If you could time slip anywhere, where are you going?
Oh, back to where Mobley Jordan went. Absolutely, I'd do that. Yeah, Versailles, 100%. Yeah. I'm bringing a dress with me though, so I can go dancing. Where would you go?
It's a good question. Wouldn't mind being on Linda's farm to see that going
on
down.
The Viking side.
Yeah, just to see it going down.
Oh, spectator. No, I'd want to get involved. Brush up on my French and take me back for a few days. I'd be happy out.
See, that's very vital. If it's a purely historical thing, just to see history happening, probably that, or maybe the Irish uprising, just to see that actually happen. 1916 happened.
I think that'd be too modern and too. As in, like, I don't mean this in an overly emotional way. I don't mean raw, as in like, oh my god, this happened to us back then. No, as in
what
like.
am I saying? I'd go to Roswell in the fucking 40s. That's where I'd go.
Okay.
I'd make my way to the Roswell crash site and fucking see what the hell happened.
Yeah.
Do you know? That's the thing. That's the other side of time travel we haven't fucking realised. If we get time travel, every past crime gets fucking solved. Every hoax gets cleared up. Well, whether it's a hoax or not gets cleared up. We'd know who Jack the Ripper is. We'd know who the Zodiac is. We'd know if Roswell really happened. We'd know if Betty and Barney Hill really got abducted.
Yeah.
See? That's the... If you're using it as solely as an observer, do you know? All this shit will get fucking solved. Or you would never be able to commit a crime again. It's Minority Report, except backwards.
Yeah.
You'd commit the crime, but as soon as you commit the crime, you know you're a cop because all they'd have to do is go back in time to that moment and catch you.
Do you not want to go somewhere fun, like, as in, like, see what Woodstock was like? But as in...
Roswell would be fun for me. Seeing a fucking alien crash. I don't know. It would be fun if it really happened. If I got there and fucking on the time slip and realised I was just standing in the desert watching some fucking wild cowboy and army man throw fucking random tinfoil on the ground and go, this is where we're going to tell him it is. That would be pretty disappointing.
Right. You just used your free travel and get absolutely bombed.
Do not eat the brown ass.
Or you could go to Woodstock first and then go to Roswell. So that way, if it's shit, it's still going to be entertaining.
See, and there's that side of it.
Or it could go completely pear-shaped if it's real.
I know Woodstock is cool, but there's other bands then that I'd like to see that weren't at Woodstock that are dead now that I can't see. I'd like to see the Ramones play live.
But you get a lot in one kind of swoop if you go to Woodstock. Well,
no, you don't. I know the Ramones aren't there.
I know, okay, so you don't get the Ramones, but you get these many other people for the price of the Ramones. Okay, so you go to see the Ramones, I'll go this way, and you can tell me how you're
Sex Pistols. But Jimi Hendrix would probably be the only person at Woodstock I'd want to see.
I want to see Janis Joplin.
Not enough to
I do. I know you don't, but I do. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe it's just the one time we're going to have to holiday separately.
Time travel separately. You know you couldn't go without me.
You know you couldn't go without me. What the fuck are you on about?
Right, so we'll go to fucking Woodstock one year, Ramones the next.
See, I didn't know multiple destinations was an option.
Well, I hardly only give us one. We have to get at least one a year, right?
Okay, I'm coming back to you next episode with a list.
Okay, that's it. We're done with Real Monsters. I hope you learned something. See you next week.
Bye-bye.